I now call the regular school board meeting of Forest Lake Area Schools Thursday, October 2nd to order. Please join us while we recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Member Clerk, will you please take the roll call of attendance?
Sure. All right, Member Corcoran? Here. Member Christensen?
Here.
Member Rebeline?
Here.
Member Castle?
Here.
Member Haglund?
Here.
Member Antonsen is here, and Member Tyson? Here. Everybody's here.
All right, we have a quorum, so I would entertain a motion to approve the meeting agenda.
So moved.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Brings us to item number 4, scheduled and unscheduled visitors. We will start with the listening session. This evening, we had Member Haglund and Member Castle. Who would like to provide the report first? Member Castle?
So there were 14 attendees and 12 signers, people who signed to speak, although not all spoke. There was lots of talk about the MCAs, how that they don't truly represent how our district is doing, if any other district at all. The middle school went from about 900 to about 1,300 students, and there are issues with the buses. When they're early, the staff isn't there to be able to handle them, and then when they come late, then they're late to class and everything. There's talk about wanting to stream the policy committee meeting so that, full disclosure to everybody, or at least have it so the folks outside the room can hear it. So if we can at least turn mics on and stuff. Okay. But it would be good to stream it. There's talk about the policy adoption and how the numbering doesn't necessarily line up with our numbering. So there's 999, there's no update to the new because we're moving our stuff into it, and how it's been handled and everything, and the changes that we've gone from kind of saying, here's the model policy with our policy, and here's the model policy, here's our policy. How should we meld them together? Talk about the strategic plan, including the request for an outside facilitator from the MSBA, like we did the last time 5 years ago, and we developed that plan, even though we might be largely modifying what we have because it seems to work good, but times have changed, so we need changes. Robert's Rule of Order, there was talk about increasing the number of speaking terms and what other districts limit to 2, and perhaps even just doing away with that rule so people can have dialogue with each other. There's talk about the pool, which has been going on for 30 years. It's estimated about an $8 million for a new pool. Perhaps we could upgrade the pool, but we can't have diving or anything around here because nobody around this area has diving, so we're traveling everywhere to do our diving. So perhaps we could just put a diving well in as an upgrade as opposed to entirely new facility, and that would largely get many more students to come to the district who are interested in pool, and families to move in because, hey, we have a pool with diving. One of the visitors brought up Title IX, that violating Title IX risks the services that we supply and that the state gets the funds and then they disperse them to all the districts. And it's probably between 6 and 8 million that we receive from that program. It was stated that Minnesota violated not only the U.S. Constitution, but the Minnesota Constitution when they did their levy re-up, where you can do it without asking the folks whether they want that. And then also the unfunded mandates, well, the unfunded mandates violate the Minnesota and U.S. Constitution. I can't say that the levy re-up did, but it violates one of them, right? So there was a lot of discussion at the listening session with hard-hitting items.
Yeah, it certainly sounds that way. Member Hagelin, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, Member Castle covered it well. I just wanted to maybe update. So the discussion on the operating levy was that we still have time as a board to rescind it. The member who spoke didn't like that, how it was handled, and pushed through it at the very last meeting of that year before the new board was sat. And then along the lines of the unfunded mandates, he's working on a constitutional process to push back against the state so that that's not coming out of school district funding. And then just to touch on the pool, I think there was enough interest from the community that would like us to talk as a board if we want to go out for a levy, or sorry, a bond to build a new pool or upgrade the existing pool. It seems like there's a lot of community support behind that, so whether we engage the communications department to send out a survey or we just have it on the agenda and start discussing it as the board, would be a good start.
All right, a lot of really interesting topics there. Any questions for Member Castle or Member
How many
Hagelin?
people were in attendance?
There were,
Around 20.
Okay.
well, including
You too.
the non-visitors. There was like 14
Okay,
folks that came of the community.
great. Thank you. That's good.
All right, any other questions or comments? I think we,
I could
yeah,
make
go ahead,
one
Member
more.
Tyson.
I mean, last meeting I mentioned that I listened to the Morris Leatherman survey on the Minnesota survey, and I reported that one of the findings is that it's not there for bonds. Support for bonds passing is way lower than levies. You have to really dial in what you want that bond for.
That's right.
And levies are passing better in the state of Minnesota and look more favorably to pass this fall in this election than bonds. And I believe that recording is still out there if anyone else wants to listen to it. It's great information.
All right, the only thing I would add to that is it sounds like we had some really good suggestions. I'm specifically interested in the suggestion about the committee meetings. We did have our strategic plan committee meeting earlier this week. We did record that, and I believe it was streamed in real time as well. We plan on having another one next week. We plan on doing the same thing there. I think the more information and the more meetings that we can get out in front of the public, the better. My personal hesitation on committing to recording the policy, or the policy committee meeting is specifically, as we have 6 standing committees. That's a lot of work for staff, and if we're going to record one of the committees, I think we should record all of them. So I feel like if there's concurrence of the board here, I feel like we could ask administration, not necessarily provide a directive, but ask administration to look into the feasibility of that and to see what it might take to make those recordings available to the public. Does that seem reasonable?
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
One of the
Member
other
Christensen.
options that they said is if it cannot be live streamed, if at least the mics could be operable, which I think might be a good starting point, because then people in the gallery are able to hear what people are saying. So, and I might, we could look into the feasibility of miking up the other committees as well. But just from recent interest or public interest, I mean, I would say that the policy committee is the one in my opinion, that has the most interest at this time. And so maybe we could start with that, and then, if we need to roll it out to the other committees, we can. Also, the policy committee meets in here,
Yep.
which, we can have the mics operable in here at a minimum so people can hear us.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. Member Castle.
There would be much more work for a committee meeting that's not in this room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I can, I'd recommend miking up the policy committee, see how that addresses the interest in engagement or listening in on the meeting as opposed to live streaming. There's a lot of technology and equipment involved in live streaming meetings. So I would recommend that we start with just miking up the meeting and allowing folks in the audience to hear the meeting.
I think that's a good.
I might be getting ahead of myself here, but do we feel like we're in a position where we can at least do a trial run on the 23rd when we come back for committees, for the policy committee to be mic'd up and live streamed?
Mic'd up and live stream or mic'd up?
Posted somehow. So maybe not live stream, but at least made available to the public at some point after the fact.
We can record the meeting, we can do a mic'd up meeting with relative ease.
Okay.
I think your point on setting a precedent of live streaming committee meetings is going to put a real cost burden on the district.
Yeah.
So I would recommend we start with that. Recording the meeting, posting the audio of the meeting is easy enough.
Okay. Let's try that on the 23rd. We won't pass any official directive or anything here this evening unless the board has an appetite to do so. I think this is one of those times where we give administration a little bit of leniency to see what's technically feasible, because we want to get as much information out to the public as we can. And I think starting with policy seems reasonable. I would suspect there'll be an interest to expand that to finance probably shortly thereafter, but we'll see how the interest grows. Member Tyson.
I have one more comment on Member Castle's report. He talked about the 2 comments that is also in a policy. So that would have to be changed within the policy. And I want to just correct that because you didn't call it within the policy, right? So
About the
that-
Roberts rules?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, lots of really good suggestions there. If we have no other discussion on the listening session, we can move to green cards. All right, we will move to green cards. Although the board's not legally required to offer public comment, we believe it's an important part of community interaction and have included that on tonight's agenda. We ask that speakers keep their comments relevant to the indicated agenda item, be respectful, avoid personal comments about board members, and refrain from sharing private or sensitive information. This process is non-interactive. We request that everyone present be respectful of commenters and refrain from making their own comments or applauding to help keep things moving. Speakers will have 3 minutes. The clerk will give notification to speakers as their time is expiring, and the chair will strike the gavel once your time has expired. I've shuffled the deck of green cards and will call speakers by first name and last initial. Please be ready when it is your turn. Starting with Mary Beth H., and on deck will be Susan Y.
Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Massey and Chair Redwine. I appreciate going first, actually. My name is Mary Beth Higgins, and I've served in this district for two and a half decades. I appreciate going first because it's pertinent to what you were just discussing as far as the policy committee and hopefully having that mic'd for full transparency and having it broadcast or reported so that the public can watch it. I'm addressing agenda item 8.3 through 8.8. So when I was looking over the agenda items and I was looking at the cover page where it says the school board policy committee has reviewed these policies and is presenting it to the school board with noted changes. I was really surprised by this because I serve on the policy committee. And while the 1300s were on the agenda, we were not able to review those policies. So that's where I was very confused by this. I know that we only were able to briefly touch on 1304 because I asked a question about the performance appraisal instrument that would be used for the superintendent's evaluation, because my question was, what evaluation tool are we using, and could the board just create their own evaluation tool? And I was told, yes, the board just could create their own evaluation tool for the superintendent. So that's why I was asking to have this broadcast for full transparency so that everybody can know what's going on. So I look forward to more discussion when this comes up on the agenda tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Beth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Susan Y., and on deck is Claire L.
My name is Susan Young, 9950 199th Street North. Before my comments, I want to say that the Forest Lake Rotary was very, very proud to provide the grant to the swim and dive team so that they were able to get their underwater microphones and video cameras. Those greatly helped both teams swim and dive last year on their pursuit of state titles. So again, Forest Lake Rotary was proud to do that. What I wish to speak to tonight is one of those problems where if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. And there are two things that were personal to me that I need to remind folks of. One, several years ago, back when you were a principal, sir, there was the state of Minnesota Highway Department contracted with a Hmong Boy Scout troop. The troop leader was an attorney friend of mine, to clean up Highway 61 in the vicinity of Forest Lake. While they were doing that activity, the troop was stoned by high school students. That created a terrible, terrible image for Forest Lake as a community. Really bad. Several folks here know that my daughter went to Minneapolis schools because I was employed in Minneapolis while she was in school. She chose to go to North High because it was a great STEM school at the time she made that choice. She was a soccer player. 2 weeks before school, they were starting some informal practices. Coach Sam asked all the girls to say, okay, where are you from and how'd you get into soccer, et cetera. Wendy said she was from Forest Lake, et cetera, et cetera. 2 girls came up to Coach after practice and said, we have to quit the team. Coach said, why? This is going to be a great team. They said, that girl is from Forest Lake. We're afraid of her. One was a Hmong family, one was a Thai family. They moved to North Minneapolis because they were not safe in Forest Lake. The district and the community worked very, very, very hard to change many of the mores and behaviors in Forest Lake and in the high school. And symbols and apparel and flags were no longer a part of that were considered demeaning of others. I sincerely hope that this board will not take us back to those really, really bad old days. I'm proud of Forest Lake these days. I wish to remain that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan. Claire L., and then on deck is Robert R.
Good evening. I'm here to speak about the 1300 policy series in front of you tonight. I genuinely hope that each board member will support common sense administrative policies that allow the district to attract and retain administration that not only understands the history of our district, but that consistently promotes responsive policies for the safety and inclusion of all students. I also genuinely hope that each member of this board truly understands and appreciates the dedication and the depth of knowledge that our superintendent brings to this district, because it has resulted in higher enrollment and test scores, as well as a strategic plan that addresses the needs of all students, which has created a better and more inclusive climate in our district. The overwhelming community and staff support for Dr. Massey shouldn't be a surprise to any school board member. Because in addition to having strong administration policies, we need responsive and pragmatic administrative staff to carry them out. In Forest Lake, we are lucky to have an excellent superintendent and administrative staff to align the district's operation, budget, and resources to serve students first, all while juggling state mandates, community pressures, staffing challenges, and board priorities, whether that's providing more information about agenda items when requested, responsibly clarifying district-wide expectations for both students and community members at public meetings about slurs and harmful language, making sure that we have a safe boardroom that is free of, and a parking lot free of hate symbols, or explaining policy language to board members perhaps unfamiliar with the history and context of them. As you all know, the policy committee spent quite a bit of time discussing a few of the policies on the agenda tonight with Director Friedman and making recommendations based on best practice. And while this board hasn't always accepted or acknowledged the work of the policy committee majority, I certainly hope it will tonight. As evidenced by the last 6 months, policy changes and language used to discuss them centered around personal ideology rather than legislation and MSBA guidance have consequences. Strong administrative policies are not just important, they are essential. They provide the foundation for consistent, transparent, and effective decision-making. They protect students' rights, support teachers' abilities to teach, and ensure the resources that we have are wisely and justly distributed. Without sound policies, our schools risk becoming inconsistent, reactive, and vulnerable to political pressure. And that harms staff morale, undermines trust with families, and more importantly, distracts from learning. I hope you'll keep that input in mind when you consider the 1300 policy series. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. And that brings us to Robert R. Welcome, Chair Raphael.
Hello, Board. I'd like to speak on Agenda Item 7.7, and I'd like to start by recognizing what an extraordinary leader Dr. Massey has been for our schools. Dr. Massey's #1 priority has always been student achievement. For him, every student deserves an education that is both rigorous, relevant to the individual, and fully prepares them for what comes next for them. He not only modeled this belief, but was instrumental in helping every employee in the district to understand this is their mission. Having come into the superintendent's job as a high school principal with elementary principal experience, he understands the importance of the entire journey from pre-K to graduation. As board members, we saw this firsthand when Dr. Massey rebuilt our teaching and learning department, leading to the early adoptions of comprehensive elementary reading programs that are so important when kids reach middle and high school. Dr. Massey was instrumental in developing our career pathways, helping students understand the why behind their classes and giving them choices that are relevant to their lives. These high school options not only included one of the fullest sets of AP classes and concurrent enrollment in the state, but critically strong options for the trades. From day one, academics and student achievement have been the top priority for Dr. Massey. As board members, Dr. Massey helped us understand the critical role the principals play in driving student achievement and improving instruction. Dr. Massey organized our district principals around student data, instructional improvement, and he gave them a voice in district initiatives. As tonight's agenda item shows, Dr. Massey is also a recognized leader in educating principals and superintendents throughout the state, teaching courses in principalship and for aspiring superintendents at the University of Minnesota. The significant improvements in our graduation rates that we should see today show the importance of this work for principals. The community's respect and love of Dr. Massey comes from their understanding that he has always put our district kids first, ensuring that a child gets the education they need to meet their life's goals, and that a Ranger diploma is a ticket to future success, not just a piece of paper. Ensuring that our district infrastructure supports the high standards that we set for our students. Ensuring that district employees feel listened to and appreciated and are given the tools they need so that they can give their gift to our students. And finally, ensuring that as a parent, you know that your child, whether they are at the top of their class or they are struggling, when they walk through the doors of these schools, they are a Ranger and they have an environment where they are loved and given the tools to fully succeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Raphael. That brings us to student achievement. We'll start with student report, bleacher captains. Principal Caldwell.
Actually, I'm going to introduce Mr. Hennig here very quickly.
All right, thanks.
Welcome, Mr. Hennig.
Thanks, Board Grabeline, School Board, Superintendent Massey for having us here. I say it every time I come here, but I feel like I'm the luckiest guy in the world, getting to deal with these guys all day and hanging out with these guys and helping them make great decisions as they go. So I will start with just a little history of the bleacher captains. I did not come up with this. This was here before I got here. I would guess Mr. Massey, Mr. Olson, Caldwell was here when this all kind of came to thing. And it came in fruition to kind of control our crowds. For the adults aren't always policing the kids. The kids are policing themselves and teach them to stay above the line when they're cheering, when they're doing their chants, when they're getting things done. So we work with these guys and kind of teach them and talk to them. You know, here's what acceptable, here's not, this crosses the line, why does it cross the line? Things we talk about, you know, saying their names, saying their numbers, anything personal, knock it off. you know, we try to get them to cheer for our team, not against the other team. We're not perfect. We're getting there. Perfect example, there was a play called in the football game the other night. Wasn't a great call by the ref. Our students said something they probably shouldn't have. I just turned around, looked at him, and went like this, and it stopped. You know, and that happens with relationships and developing these kids and getting them to do. These guys obviously are on the fields. They didn't have anything to do with that. They would never do that cheer as they were going through. So, but that's where it's come from. Our conferences now, they call themselves super fans in the other schools. So we have some stuff that we do together 3 times a year. We get all the super fans. We call our bleacher captains together. They do some team building stuff and all that stuff with them, and they talk and they basically teach them how to be leaders and what they're doing and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to turn that part over to them right now. They're going to get a few things to say. But just talking about the leadership, Connor's actually gone twice, I think. Yeah. I think I snuck you with last year as a junior, and Tanner just went this fall with me. So.
Yeah, so basically we go to...
Introduce yourself first.
I'm Connor Johnson. I'm Tanner. So we go to White Bear, and there's this guy who's honestly pretty crazy. He's never drank alcohol in his life. He's a very strict guy, and he comes and talks about leadership with us, and we play a ton of games where he teaches us lessons through the games. Like, we'll play, 10-person jump rope. Yeah. And we have to learn how to communicate, and he only gives us a certain amount of time. And so you learn about that, and he teaches us lessons about practice. His big motto is that he thinks high school kids practice just to get it done with nowadays, rather than to actually get something out of practice. And he really ingrains that, and that, I think, helps a lot, especially since a lot of kids there are in their fall sports. And so for me, and I know for you, we take it to our fall sport, like it helps us right away, and we go bring it to our teammates, and it really ups our practices.
Another thing that he did is we would have like these tubes, and there would be a marble, and we'd be in like groups of like 10 or 11, and we'd have to work together to try and get that marble across the gym. And the goal of it was to not lash out at your teammates. And one time I did it because we dropped the marble like 8 times in a row. I'm like, let's go, guys. Like, we could do a little bit better. And I feel like it's really important to be able to practice that. Even though we're bleacher captains, we still have stuff to work on because we're not perfect.
Another big thing we did this fall, they led the link crew. They came in link crew at the end. Tom the year cheer, which they did very successfully at homecoming. Mr. Caldwell was very pleased with that. But also the Spirit Bus. And the stuff you're seeing up here is all the Spirit Bus stuff. So you guys want to talk about what Spirit Bus meant to you guys and what we did with that?
Yeah, so Spirit Bus, we go to all the elementary schools, and we introduce our chants that we do at games. So then the kids, especially since it's homecoming week, all those kids want to go to that homecoming game. So then sometimes if they know the chant, they'll come with and cheer the chant as well. And then we go introduce the homecoming royalty so they know what's going on. And then at halftime at the game, the royalty will get introduced and they'll already know them. And I know it was cool for you because I went to St. Peter, so I didn't get Spirit Bus, but I know
it was nice for me because I was able to see my old teachers, my old principal, Mr. Ernest at Forest View, and I think it's also really important that we do that because I feel like it shows the little kids that they're also a part of homecoming week. Like, it's not just the big kids, it's also them. They have an important part in supporting us.
Yeah.
I would say Scandia probably was the most juiced of all the schools.
Oh, yeah.
And Joe was leading the cheer, so she was up there watching it. What was the favorite cheer they liked this year?
If you guys don't know, there's a trend with the number 6-7, and they would go crazy whenever we would say it, and they'd want us to say it. And our bus was deemed the most exciting because we had a speaker and we played the song for them. So it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts was when Mr. Miller had the 6th and 7th graders together. Where they were watching 6th and 7th graders and all the whole crowd. 6, 7. That was it. And these guys got a bigger kick out of it than I did, but it was an awesome week, and appreciate there's a lot of principals that are letting us come to your schools and do that because it's a highlight, and as I would say, try to highlight for big kids as well as little kids.
But I was just going to add that. I was going to say I think the Spirit Buses is that the high school kids get as big a kick out of it as the elementary school kids, and They have that nostalgic look back of remembering what it was like for them and wanting to make it bigger and better for the elementary school kids. I love the cohesion that brings to the district, and really appreciate it that you guys are out there having fun and you're promoting the team and keeping the fans in check. We should have sent this group to the Ryder Cup last week. Maybe they could have had a bit of positive influence there.
I'll turn over if you have any questions for these guys.
Yeah.
I'd love to answer questions.
Anybody else, questions, comments? Member Tyson?
So what would you guys think about doing the Spirit Bus like twice a year? I think I've been asking Superintendent Massey if we can do it more than once, because just like what you guys were saying, it's just such an amazing way we connect district-wide with the older students and the elementary, and we're all Rangers and we all know the same cheers and chants, and I just think it's really so valuable.
Yeah, I would say that would be a great, as bleacher captains, we would love to do it again. We would just need to find like a event that's as big as homecoming.
I know.
That's something that they would want to go to.
Right.
So if we make a game that's as big as that, then for sure I would do it again.
Member
Good to
Christensen?
know. Thanks for all your work on that.
Oh, I was just going to say that I want to give a little, well, first of all, the bleacher captains, they are also responsible for cleaning up the whole area where they sit, and there's water bottles and all kinds of mess. And so the bleacher captains have to clean that all up. And then also at the White Bear game, I want to shout out to some staff. Mrs. Miller was there with her baby and a stroller, and Mrs. Lang was there. And I don't know, the students were doing some sort of chant, and all Mrs. Lang had to do was like turn around and give them a look, and they stopped doing what they were doing. So, staff and all the staff time, Mr. Caldwell, all the staff during homecoming week, the student council staff, they're at the Pep Fest. And then I also just wanted to say, the Spirit Bus is amazing. And the little kids really look up to the big kids, and I think that's really important. And also, I was going to save it for my positive happenings, but the football team is 5-0, and Connor is our quarterback right here, Connor, and Tanner is one of our coaches. So
Thank you.
So we're glad that they took time out on a busy week to be here. I hope you didn't.
Busy night.
Busy night. Did you miss team dinner for this? No. Oh, good. Okay. All right. Well, better go have some team dinner.
Member Anderson?
Yeah, I'll echo what Member Christensen over there and multiple other people have said. The little kids love it. I have 3 of them who have been in elementary recently, and one still is, and they love it. So thank you for that. But I'm also wondering, because I can hear the cheers, but I can't always understand what they are. Do you have these somewhere for the public? I'm just curious, because I don't know what they are.
Never thought of that.
Mm.
I mean, better maybe put those on TikTok.
Well, we do have an Instagram for the bleacher captains that we put the cheers on.
Okay.
But isn't there like a pamphlet that you get at football? Is there
No.
I don't think so.
We don't know.
Okay. Well,
Just ask a little kid.
yeah.
Yes.
I promise if you go up to a bleacher captain and ask what the chant is, they will
They'll
tell you, and maybe they'll go in front of the parents and start getting them going. or something.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Member Corcoran?
Well, I just want to know, how do you get to be one, and how many are there?
This year there's 30.
31,
right?
Oh, my gosh.
32?
So
Oh, that's a lot. Wow.
They can never get there.
yeah, it's basically
Yeah.
16. It's like boys and girls split half and half, and I mean.
So I can tell you, the teachers, admin coaches, they all give us a list, and we start out with probably about 70 kids. And I would say out of those 70 kids, they all will be fantastic. So it's a hard. And I always say my goal is to get to 20. I don't think I've ever gotten to 20. I was trying to get this one even below 30, and we were meeting with Ms. Lang, Ms. Miller, and Mr. Caldwell, and Caldwell just said, just do 32. and it does work. Tonight we got swimming going, we've got volleyball going, we've got your soccer game going. So we got kids all over the place. No, it's hard to get a senior night for girls. Soccer's a lot of girls wanted to go support their classmates and didn't want to come to school with us.
Can't blame
Which is
them.
good. There's a lot of things going on.
Yeah, I hesitate to ask, but why try to limit the number? Why not?
It's just hard to
Transportation or?
track it, just to have that many in front.
Okay.
You know, again, if they all show up at like let's say that's our volleyball stands right there, I can't even get 32 kids in that front row.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
pretty tough.
Well, it's awesome that we have so much interest in
Yeah,
that.
for
I
sure.
mean,
I break hearts every August, I feel like, and I'm soft. I feel bad, actually.
Member Castle.
Perhaps you could have some on standby and the ones active.
Some bubble players.
Yeah.
Oh, there,
The draft.
Spoken like a football player.
maybe some substitutes. So is it just 1 year? Is it just, so 1 year?
just
Seniors? Is
seniors.
it just
Just
seniors,
seniors.
just seniors?
I tried about 3 years ago, getting 5 juniors and trading them to seniors.
Didn't like it.
They were not letting me do that. I said, all right. I thought they were going to 5 trained in and they were ready to go for 2 years. But they put us in the senior round. And I said,
Yeah.
Just have one more quick question. I mean, I think the bleacher captains have grown. I remember when we first started it, there were maybe just one little sprinkling in the front row. So kudos to creating it and keeping it going and having fun. But do you still organize different themes for games?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
Every-
that still happens. I
Every
noticed that.
game, like even basketball, where there's almost 30 games, there's a theme. Every home
Theme
game
for
has got
every
a theme.
home.
Every away game's got a theme, and it's all sent out over social media so everyone knows.
Wow,
Yeah.
and who comes up with all those cool themes?
Our first meeting as bleacher captains, we went over like what themes we think should be out for like the volleyball games or the
Okay.
football games.
It's a lot of themes.
Yeah.
It is.
That creates all that fun, though. Yeah. Well, thanks for all your hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other day, we had a substitute come in the district office and asked to talk, came in to do paperwork, asked for me, and said, I sub in a lot of districts, but I have to tell you, the kids in Forest Lake are some of the most respectful kids that I've ever worked with. Their behavior, their conduct, their friendliness. Again, no one's perfect, but it stands out, and you guys are leaders in the high school. It makes a difference. We really appreciate who you are and your leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
and they get jerseys that they wear, so when they go to the away games, you know who they kind of go. If they aren't doing something like White Bear Lake, Brian can walk up to them and say, hey, when you guys are bleacher captains, please take care of this as well. So that helps too. We got some leaders in this games if we're not always there.
Excellent. Member Castle.
So is there an onboarding at the end of the year so that the juniors, when they become seniors, are already
They're all lobbying. I talk to these guys, I'll talk to these guys and they'll give me recommendations as well. What they think would be good.
right, but some training so that they're not starting from scratch at the beginning of the year?
They're at like the juniors and seniors are most, since they're the grades that can drive. The juniors are based, like the seniors and juniors have similar numbers at games. So the juniors have just been watching the bleacher captains for 3 years before they become one. So they basically know responsibilities.
They know the chance to.
Yeah.
Well, help them out. Succession planning is part of being a really good leader. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, thank you guys so much for coming in. Thanks for all that you do.
Good luck tomorrow.
You got a fun year to be bleacher
And
captains,
we'll move to
too.
Forest Lake Area Middle School, Principal Miller.
Well, thank you, Dr. Massey, members of the board. Thanks for having the middle school here this evening. And just, before I dive in a little bit, just to reiterate, at the middle school, when we have our Pet Fest every year, I think Forest Lake, when you think about homecoming, what it means to a community, I can't think of a school system or district that does homecoming like we do here. And just even seeing our students at the middle school, it was great seeing our sixth graders engaged in that for the first time at the middle school, and just a wonderful experience. Tonight, I'm going to be kind of maybe piggybacking a little bit, Dr. Massey, off what you just mentioned and alluded to with our bleacher captains and those leadership opportunities and the way that impacts community and culture within the middle school with a program that we, again, are so fortunate to be able to have with, again, Dr. Massey, your leadership, along with Mike Hennon and Jim Caldwell, being able to think through the ways that with changes around our activities and the policies around that, making sure that that still is able to fit and happen within our system. And that's going to be our Best Buddies program. But before we do, just a few things to review, because I don't know if you know this, but we have 6th graders now at the middle school. So there's been some big changes with our programming. And now, as you also know, whenever I join you, I always like to reiterate, again, why we exist at the middle school. What does our staff truly believe about the work that we do? And that is that we're here to, again, create experiences that inspire learning. And that, again, is down to the deepest parts of our core as educators at the middle school, and why I think we do such an amazing job. And we do that through this, and I know sometimes we get a little jargony, but we do this through 3 really important pillars. And one on the right is what we're going to focus on, just as you saw Mike Hennon do with our bleacher captains, around how we connect kids, because we know when kids feel connected at school, they're more successful academically, behaviorally, socially, and emotionally. But we do that by our collective efficacy, the fact that we don't talk at the middle school about an I or a you. We talk about we. We talk about us, that this is, these are all of our students, this is all of our programming, and we all have a hand in making sure things are impactful and positive for students. Personalizing experiences for kids, knowing that each student comes to us with unique needs and skills and talents, and how do we address that? And then again, strong connectedness. So like I said, we have had, and to speak for the staff, and I have Emily Stegmeyer and Sam Van Hefty behind me, and I know they would reiterate, we have had a very busy start to the school year, but an amazing start to the school year. It has been so refreshing, so energizing to see 6th graders in the building. I know that we've spent a lot of time talking about this transition throughout last year, even a little bit in the summer, but I do think it's important now that we actually have our students in the building experiencing the programming, just how positive it really has been. Seeing the faces, the energy of those 6th grade students, and of course our 7th grade students as well. It's just been really, really exciting. You can see obviously one of the rites of passage that a student has as a middle school is getting to use that locker for the first time, which was really exciting, and getting to do that with their teacher's support was really, really fun. And and we've again sort of talked about this in the past, but I think it's interesting to look at some of the statistics. We welcomed over 900 new students to the middle school this year. So 2/3 of our student body is brand new. We welcomed, and you could say onboarded, but we had a number of obviously 6th grade staff join us, additional support staff, over 30 new staff members at the middle school that were welcomed throughout this process. In fact, and then when we think about how we go about doing this, with our 6th grade teachers during workshop week in the building, taking time with our teacher leaders to review how we onboard students. And again, thank you to the board this year to adjust our calendar so we could have unique starts for each grade this year. I don't imagine how we would have done it otherwise. And sitting there with our staff and some of our 6th grade teachers that hadn't gone through this process before, sort of wondering, how is this possible? You have this many students rolling through and coordinating that. This is just a snippet of one of the images and schedules that we send out to teachers and work with our students on by the minute, coordinated. Our teachers do an amazing job putting this into place, so that way all of our students feel super welcomed and connected on day one. Transition to middle school is a really big deal. It's a huge shift and change in their experiences from elementary, and we know we want to start school really, really well, and making sure that first day kids go home with a lot of that stress and anxiety relieved, and talking to moms and dads about how amazing that first day was and the things that they got to do, and to meet with their teachers and have our web leaders, similar to the high school's link leaders, welcome and greet and guide those students on the first day, is really one of our goals. There is not a middle school in the state of Minnesota, or probably anywhere, that starts school better than we do. Our students leave that first week really they're in a great position. They are ready to tackle and take on really challenging and deep learning experiences, again, as they move throughout the year. Now, of course, as a new program, I'm not going to spend too much time on each of these. Maybe I can come back and talk to some of these, but we've also updated a number of different programs as well to support the transition of our middle school students, our 6th graders and 7th graders, as well as to support our current 8th graders within the building. One of those, and we're so fortunate to be able to now be offering through our ATSIS grant that the district was awarded, literacy and math intervention. We're deep into gathering diagnostic information around where students are at, around literacy and around math, and offering instructional supports for those students, research-based interventions through our interventionists and support staff, as well as our teachers during the school day. In addition to that, we've used Flex in the past. This year we've expanded with our schedule, offering that flex time that happens to offering it 3 to 4 days a week. Sort of varies on the day if we offer it on Fridays or not. And Flex is a great time for students to be able to get academic support, to be able to experience extensions to the content that they're learning, to receive intervention work from a teacher, from an interventionist, or for enrichment or extension opportunities as well. Just even this week, I had one of our social studies teacher had about 30 students sign up for a GeoGuessr game, sort of a geography quiz show that they did do. So they enjoyed, they had a great time, focused on the content that they were learning, and it was just a great way to build those connections. We also know that at the middle school, we need to reinforce, teach, and reteach, and sometimes reteach again those expectations around what it means to be a ranger, to be empathetic and engaged and empowered. This year we've transitioned to something called Ranger Bucks, which is a sort of a way to think of giving students a little more empowered control over some of the feedback, positive feedback they get from teachers, to turn these in for rewards or opportunities for experiences and other things throughout the year. That's going to be starting just here this next week, now that we're kind of partway through that first quarter and we're ready to roll that out. We're also really excited about our attendance mentors. We know that attendance and students attending to school is critically important. When students aren't with us, they're not able to learn. We also know that, I would say, ever since the pandemic, we have, as a system across the state, across the nation, really have struggled with student attendance. And we have systems in place around truancy work through the county. But I'm a firm believer that I think when kids feel connected, when they feel that they have somebody that they can trust, that cares about their success, they're more likely to want to come to school, and they're more likely to be successful when they're there. And so this year, we've taken a look at all of our students, so those students that, based on last year, struggled with attending school on a regular basis. Every staff member in the building, myself, assistant principals, counselors, all of our teachers, the interventionists, everybody has been assigned one student, part of that list, that they're going to mentor. And the goal behind the mentorship is to build a strong connection with that student, to check in with them on a regular basis, periodically reach out to home as they monitor their attendance, and provide, again, that strong connection to school. If they notice that the student's been absent for an extended period of time, when they connect with that student, to be able to check in, maybe even offer a little bit of advice on how they can maybe get back on board, get back on schedule with the things that they're doing. I'm really excited about this because I think it's going to have a positive, proactive approach to addressing attendance and habitual truance issues that we're starting this year. And then lastly, we have had, I think, one of the a really great student announcement a program for many, many years. Back in my early time when I started as the assistant principal, we had a teacher on the side who was essentially a stand-up comedian, and she did an amazing job running our announcements. That morphed year after year to different staff taking on the roles and responsibilities. I see Ms. Lockway behind me. She did that for many, many years and did an amazing job. One thing that we always felt we were kind of lacking was an opportunity for students and student voice to be part of that. So this year, Gina Ebersbacher, our media center specialist, has started a group that meets, again, during flex time when they're not being pulled or needing to do other work. And there's about 34 students signed up to act as reporters, to gather stories, to put together the announcements, and that started here this week. The feedback right off the first episode from teachers was super positive, and I think it's a great way, again, for kids to own sort of our programming, the leadership around that, And kids, again, would much rather hear probably from each other than definitely from me, or let alone, I think, some other folks. So really exciting work. And again, many other things, of course, but I just wanted to highlight some of these changes because I feel like, number one, they get to the point of why we personalize experiences for kids around their needs or their passions and their skills. It's also how we, again, build strong connections for kids to the school and the other ways that we do that. One of the most special ways that we do that here started last spring was a program that is called Best Buddies. And I'm going to hand it over here to Sam Van Hefty, Lindsay Piron, and Melissa Gooder, who are going to talk to you about this program that began with an idea in the spring, I would say late winter, and I think has been one of the most amazing experiences for our student leaders as well as for students who at times I think are sometimes sometimes maybe feel like there could be left behind in that connectedness question at times and beyond the whole in getting them engaged in that whole student body and population. So really excited about this. Sam and Melissa and Lindsay. Oh, you're going to pack? Okay. You'll give us,
I haven't done it yet.
You'll cheer from the back to speak to that. And there you go. Thank you.
Thank you. What he also left out in talking about the student announcements is I was expecting the students would like to hear from peers more than he and I. I wasn't as expecting the staff to be so vocal in how much more they enjoyed the announcements from here. They were very much like, this is so much better. It's a little personal. But anyways, we're here to talk Best Buddies at Forest Lake Middle School. So I will say this started as an idea. This was something I was exposed to years ago, my first ever teaching job, and just such an amazing program. And it was something that probably, late November, early December, I had the idea, but needed somebody to maybe volunteer, AKA voluntold. I need some help. And Melissa said, tell me what we can do, because it sounded amazing, and I think I can speak for you too.
Yeah.
We've enjoyed it ever since. So what is Best Buddies? It is a group that, put simply, the goal is to, again, spread friendship and inclusion throughout our school. And the We Believe statement, it could not be more true. We believe that everyone deserves to be included and that everyone deserves to have a friend. Period. End of story. So a little bit about the program goals. Best Buddies is a national organization, and we'll talk a little bit more about what our year looked like last year, as well as some of participating chapters across the state of Minnesota. But they outline 3 key components, and it's amazing how much it aligns with our school goals to begin with. Education, building awareness about inclusion, about disabilities, and what Best Buddies' mission is among chapter members and school communities. Our PBIS school goals are those of having empathetic rangers, empowered rangers, and engaged rangers. And as you can see on the board, engagement and empowerment are listed there as goals of this program. And I think empathy comes through following out through those 2 goals. I wanted to also follow up with where they list empowerment. And you all can read. I won't read through this entire thing for you. But under empowerment, it says to foster leadership skills in participants and help them become advocates for themselves and others. That, to me, has been the coolest thing about this program, is just the leadership skills that they take on. We have a few student testimonials later on that we'll show you as well. So we spoke earlier about some of the local chapters. These are local to the state of Minnesota. As I said before, it is a nationwide program, but these are just a few, from New York Mills to Minnetonka to college campuses to citizen groups as well. We have multiple trainings throughout the year as well, where we learn team building activities, we learn more about what the national organization is doing. They also offer a summer institute that neither of us were able to attend, unfortunately, this past summer, but certainly hope to for the upcoming summer. So it is fun to see Forest Lake Erie Middle School listed under that middle school column. And I'm going to hand it over to Melissa to kind of talk through what our chapter's journey was last year and talk a little bit about some of our goals this year.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Melissa Gooder, and I am a DCD Setting 3 teacher at the middle school. This is my 32nd oh goodness, school year. And the reason I choose to be at Forest Lake Middle School is probably easily the most important is Dr. Massey, Mr. Miller, Mr. Van Hefty, which I probably will start crying because I'm very passionate about this. When Sam came to me, I jumped on this opportunity because I thought this is what's going to be great for not only the students that I work with, but for the students at Forest Lake Middle School. We have leadership opportunities. We have an amazing staff who jumped on board, who said, what can we do? Who actually went to students and said, I think this is a great opportunity for you. What do you think of it? And because of that, it has been a huge, huge success. And I'm really proud of it. And I'm really proud of what we've been able to do in the last year, because Sam's really great to work with. And he doesn't take the credit, but he really deserves it. Okay, so we decided that we're going to go on this journey together, and we applied with the Best Buddies, the organization. It is nationwide, and it's a nonprofit organization. And boy, they have they train us. I get a monthly email that tells me what I need to do in the month of October, and make sure you get this documented. And it's very organized. And we also have a program lead that we can just say, I have a question, and they will get right back to us. It's just been great. So we applied, we were accepted, and then Sam and myself, and then Sam Dutenhefner, who is also one of the DCD teachers, we attended a training at their main office in Edina, and we had everybody from us being the oldest, to student leaders that were from Minnetonka High School. They had students they were programs that had been going on for like 10 years, and some like us that are brand new, and we were able to learn from one another and ask questions and get resources. It was a great training, and we were super excited that we got to do it again in the fall. Then once we decided, all right, we're in and we've gone through the training, then we had to recruit. And we were really excited about this opportunity because we brought in everybody. We had put it in the announcements. We had it on the TV screen. We had the lunch where we had a table set up and had the kids sign up if they wanted to learn more about Best Buddies. And then we held information meetings. Where they could ask questions. If they wanted to sign up, we kind of went through the process of what signing up looked like, and then gave them the opportunity to make the choice of whether or not they signed up. And then after we recruited, we had students get through the process. They go through Best Buddies. They have to apply. Their parent has to give consent. And once that happens, then we're able to start rolling and having them join us for our flex time. Now, last year we had flex time. We started it in the spring, and we did it just on Tuesdays. And we weren't sure what we were going to get into. And we had 11 of students that have disabilities signed up, where parents had permission, and we had 18 that were students without disabilities. Everything from the kid that plays football to the musician to kids that you would not usually hear their voice. They're very introverted, who came to participate. And we were so excited because you didn't know who was going to show up. At that point, we were still kind of figuring out, are you coming to the flex time, are you not? And more often than not, I had a full room of students who just wanted to be together. Let's see, we do crafts, we do cooking, we do circle activities, we do social time. I think there's a picture in here soon where Mr. Van Hefty was joining us for some of the games. There you go. We do all sorts of things. The cooking is always the favorite, so we do cookies and we decorate cookies, we follow the recipe, and this is where the leadership comes in terms of following a recipe and making sure it turns out okay and working well together. We kind of structured that time because we just wanted to make sure we could get as much in as we could in the short amount of time that we had. So when the students come in, we sit together, and there's always a question of the day, like, what's your favorite food, or what do you like to do after school? And they sit down, and we always have them buddy up so that they're talking to someone new each time they come into the room. And then that kind of helps guide the conversation. And then we called it, because we couldn't come up with a different name. We were like, what are we doing? Well, it's kind of like a micro-minute learning opportunity for all of them to kind of learn what is a disability, what is inclusion, what does it mean to be a friend, how to be a good person. And we just did a quick little blurb of one topic, couple of slides, talk about it, answer questions, and then we moved on to something fun, whether that was the craft, the activity, or the cooking. Yeah, and I already mentioned that we had 18 students without disabilities and 11 students who had disabilities. And we talked about all the different types of disabilities and how some are visible and some are invisible, and how we can all look at each other as with our differences and how we all have strengths, and what makes us all unique, makes us special, and it just turned into like this great thing.
So we talked a bit about the membership application. There is a process that students have to go through. They get parental consent. This is done through an app that Best Buddies provides called Best Buddies 360. And I wanted to, we mentioned this before, just a couple of students sharing out. So I think it's okay to play video on this. I hope eardrums don't get blown out. But let's...
How loud it is.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. Renee says yes. All right. Well, I can find my cursor.
You do that. So Sophia is an 8th grader, and she has volunteered to be one of our leaders for this coming year. And so she was, she participated as a 7th grader last year.
If you want to scroll down.
And then Ella, when she comes on, Ella actually is a 9th grader who was an 8th grader last year. She actually came back to the middle school just so that I could ask her questions about Best Buddies. And Mr. Caldwell, she would really love, along with, I got 5 names of, can we figure out how to do this at the high school? So we can maybe chat with her. There she is.
Here we go.
We may have to share it afterwards. Yeah.
But here she was talking about all the things that we did, like the cooking to her was fun. She talked about at the end we'll have a friendship walk in May, and she talked about the friendship walk and how that was like the highlight of her year. And Ella talked about how meeting kids and being a part of Best Buddies, just being with kids with differences and working with one another, that they were each able to take leadership roles, and how that was really neat on meeting people that she didn't know otherwise being a part of that program. So they're awesome kids. And then last year we ended the last Best Buddies. We asked them all to write down words of what they meant for Best Buddies. And we just made a word cloud. And that was just all the positive things that came out of that. That's from what the students were saying about it.
Then finally, we'll just close with an invite to each of you and your families on May 17th, 2026. There is an annual friendship walk, so Best Buddies Minnesota hosts this at the Vikings practice facility, TCO, down in Eagan. This is when it happens. We're going to try to fundraise this year. That was a big thing last year, where our guidance was just get signed up and just go. Just experience it, and then now this year, the opportunity to raise funds on behalf of Team Flams. So we'll end with how we end Best Buddy meetings, whether it's a chapter training or in Miss Gooder's room, and that's go Best Buddies.
Thank you very much for
Yes,
the
that was an
report.
awesome report.
Are there any questions or comments for the group? Member Tyson?
I have a question. So for the Best Buddies program, is there a curriculum that you use? Or do you,
No, it's actually,
Or
there's
just-
not a curriculum, but they give like a resource list of things to do together, like just different activities, different ways to have like a gathering, like kind of like a circle, morning circle or a morning meeting. So it
Just
kind of
simple.
goes through like
Yeah.
things you should consider or cover, but not necessarily a curriculum.
It's more activities and ideas for things that you can do.
And right now, like the kids that will be the leaders this year, they will meet with us ahead of time, and we plan out the activities for October. And the leaders are the ones that are gonna come up with the activities, and then we put it into play. But they'll be the ones that'll pick the activities.
wow, well, thank you for all that you've done to get this going. I think that there's so many benefits for that comfort zone where just that universal collectiveness of everybody being together and reducing that stigma about people with disabilities. And then you don't even notice it, you're just friends. And I just think this is what's needed in our schools. And I think that at our middle school, when they have these wonderful adults that are engaging them in these activities and having leadership, people that have those roles, that it's just such a wonderful experience. I can imagine it's going to really grow.
Yeah,
Right now,
informational sessions next week, and kids already signing up. So.
People are signing up to come to my flex time, and I said, well, we haven't started yet, but you can come on over to the
They're
flex
showing
time.
up at the room.
And also now with the flex time and the opportunities of it being more days and students signing up, we may consider having them be able to come different days. I mean, there's so many options we'll be able to do.
Just warms my heart. So thank you for all your work on that.
I was just going to ask about that, and maybe I missed it because you just said you're going to do more days and it's growing. Yes?
Well,
I mean, like,
yeah,
okay,
I mean,
so.
we're open to it.
Yeah, the first step is always kind of getting kids recruited
Yeah.
into it and getting signed up, and then partnering
Yeah.
students with intellectual or developmental disabilities with gen ed peers. So from there, that's kind of then when we decide, okay, if we have 15 people, well, maybe that's one flex session per week. But if we have 75,
Yeah.
then we're going to have to offer more.
And you're not sure where you're at yet because you just opened this up.
Right.
Okay, okay. Well, I'm curious, how will we find out how it's going?
Yeah.
Call you?
3002.
Okay. All right.
Member Christensen?
So is this a type of club or activity that's open for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders? Okay, wonderful. Yeah, because we were talking in the listening session, I was listening in, and those clubs are only for some of the clubs are just only for 8th graders. So this is a club that 6th and 7th graders can be in. Okay, that's great, thank you.
Falls under like part of the operations as a system.
Member Corcoran?
I was just gonna say, sometimes, like they say, kids, the best part of their day are the things that are special like that. Between the reading and the writing and the basic education part, this is a special program that really gives them a taste of getting to know friends too, have the development with friends, and having that special time. Now, you said that, is it just for kids? Like you said, there's other students in there though, when you mentioned that, or is it just for certain students? I mean, is it open for all students?
Oh, it's open, yeah.
So any student
As
can
long
join.
as they go through getting an application and going through Best Buddies.
Okay.
Just because that's the expectation that you have to have parent consent.
Okay.
But once they get in the system, we go in, and then they will always be invited to flex time. But academics are first. So like if they get recruited by, because they have to make up a test or they need support doing something else academic, that's high priority. We're medium priority. We would want them to do their academics before they would come to my room.
And then there's, like you said, there's no limit. You're hoping it grows, and if you have availability, that's wonderful. Sounds like a great program. Thank you.
Member Castle?
Is there a paper method for signing up? Or do they have to have computers and all this stuff?
It's a great question. The platform itself is virtual, though I believe there is the opportunity for us to print a PDF file of it if a family needed that. That's a question that we'd certainly refer to kind of our Minnesota state leaders, if you will, to see, hey, can you help us upload this into that? We haven't come across that yet with somebody needing that, but they have the ability in the system itself to print it as a PDF, so I don't see why. Yeah.
So, and then do the students volunteer, or do they recommend students for leadership?
It's a great question. Students that want to take on a leadership position do have to apply for it. In fact, that's one of the steps this year for us, is to have officers. So there would be a chapter president, and that would be a gen ed student that would have to go through an application process.
And then if they find that they want to do that later on, they can, yep.
Yep, absolutely.
Nice.
And I have some Best Buddies pens, magnets here, if you feel so inclined. I'll leave them next to Member Christensen. And yeah, feel free to take one.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the report, and thank you for bringing more programs to our students in the middle school. That's really critically important, and we look forward to hearing how this program grows.
Yes,
Thank you very
me too.
much.
Thank you.
All right. That brings us to positive happenings, and I know Member Christensen has something, so we can start with her.
Oh, well, actually, I did not really have any, other than what I said.
It's worth
that
mentioning twice.
Yes, our football team is 5-0, so that is very exciting. And homecoming was wonderful, and I said to the principals and to Mr. Caldwell and Mr. Hennon, I mean, the staff that were there at just every single event that whole week. I mean, it started with Powder Puff, and just every single night there was something going on. Saturday night, the dance, everything. So I can't imagine the extra hours the staff put in, and Principal Caldwell and many others, the assistant principals. It was a really successful time and just a really joint effort, and yeah, it was great.
Thank you for kicking that off, Member Christensen. Does anybody else have anything for positive happenings this evening? Member Tyson.
I have a couple of things. We went to the Transportation Department, Member Anderson and Member Corcoran, and thanked them, listened, and supported them. We know what they went through when school started and getting all of the district routes up and running. And we couldn't be more proud, and they love having the board come in and just sit and visit. And I heard some incredible stories, and most of them were that of how much they love to drive their students. They know them personally. I heard some feedback about how the morning route is smaller, and then the afternoon is maybe quite large, but they know them, they trust their students after they've been running with their route for a while. So kudos to all of them. They were so appreciative. Also, I went out to the Columbus Fall Festival. I know parents and families from Columbus, and I saw the Lake Center for Youth and Family were out there, and a few other people I knew. That's always a fun event. And I also stopped to watch some Ranger girl tennis, which I've always wanted to do. And I hear all the time how much people love our tennis courts and how there's bleachers now, Gail. So I actually watched with a friend, and we sat on the bleachers, and beautiful serves, and just watching our Ranger girls play tennis was just very fun for me. And I went to the Pep Fest. I got to sit among the parents against the wall. Very exciting. Mr. Caldwell comes out and brings calm to the whole place by just saying, we're going to sing the national anthem now, and boom. So it was a very fun Pep Fest. I got to see all of the court and the crowning of the Queen and King. It was a great event. And I had coffee with the director from the Lake Center for Youth and Family, getting to know all the changes in positive direction they're going, and we know that they work with our students out at the Linwood Elementary, so it was fun meeting him, and they're having their taco and game night tonight, so I hope they're having a good turnout. And that concludes my report.
Wonderful. Thank you, Member Tyson. Member Christensen.
Sorry, I did forget one thing, excuse me. Mrs. Moorhead was passing around our Let's Go Fishing pamphlet, so if anyone wants information on fishing for seniors and veterans and the disabled, that is here. And also I wanted to say Congratulations to the king and queen.
Yes.
Manka Tay is our queen, our homecoming
Thank
queen,
you, I
and
forgot.
Zach Bordenay is the homecoming king. So, forgot to mention that.
All right, thank you. Anybody else for positive happenings this evening? Member Corcoran?
I wasn't there, but I know Member Tyson was at the opening of Belts Park. Oh, Member Moorhead, it looked like it was fabulous. I've driven by a few times and.
That's a City of Forest Lake report.
Oh,
That's
sorry.
okay.
Oops. Well, that's still a positive happening.
It's a big
I
positive
could
happening.
kind of share it. But
It's
yeah, that was,
huge.
it's beautiful, and I think the families are just going to love the use of that park. So a lot of work went into it, a lot of time and energy, and it sure looks great.
Oh,
Very good.
so cool. Yeah.
All right, well, that is an excellent segue, because I suspect we don't have anything for workshops and conferences tonight. We don't, which brings us to City of Forest Lake. Member Christensen or Member Tyson?
You want to go ahead, Member Tyson?
Well, I just want to add on to what Member Corcoran said and Member Moorhead's here. I mean, it was just an incredible night. There were so many families. Bells Park, the basketball courts are new, pickleball, tennis. The climbing area was just filled with families, and it was just a really joyous celebration. I talked to Mayor Bain and thanked her because it started back under her reign, and I saw Mayor Blake Roberts. I said hi to Patty, our Representative Patty Anderson was there. So it was really just a celebration, and people are going to love that park down the road. There might be a pavilion with bathrooms, so I think it's all ADA acceptable, handicapped accessible, which is we're so proud of. So Forest Lake has a lot of parks, and so maintaining them is always that piece of it, but also getting the funding to help the city bring this to fruition is great. So.
All right, Member Christensen?
Yeah, I reporting on the meetings from September 8th. Not too much. There's some new staff. There's a new finance director and a new assistant community development director for the city. There is a budget survey online with the City of Forest Lake that is live with questions that citizens can answer. There is some active development things going on in one area in the staff report. I think Abby Whitman reported that there are 4 or 5 active residential plats, and she said quite a lot of dirt will be moving around yet this fall in Forest Lake. So I thought that was really exciting. And then on September 22nd, Officer Jake Ayers is retiring after 31 years of service. And they talked about some budget, the preliminary budget adoption. They set the maximum like we do too, and they set that. But then I also thought it was very interesting, they talked about the fund balance, and just because I thought this was interesting, the city maintains a general fund balance of 50% of the year's total budget because they only get paid twice a year due to property tax revenues and other things, but I just thought that was very interesting if we had to carry 50% of our, that would be a lot. So anyway, just, that concludes my report.
All right, thank you, Member Christensen. And that's a kind of a good segue into my question here. The Forest Lake Times today published an article on the preliminary levy, and it looks like they're looking at a 12.59% increase. I know last year it was mid-11. They settled just under 10, so it's possible that this will go back down. But it creates a city tax rate of over 45%, and there's also discussion of a 0.5% sales tax. Was there any discussion as to what was driving such a substantial increase?
Well, I know they said that was the maximum. They set the maximum like how we do. You can set the maximum. You're not going to charge more than that, but you can charge less, but not more than that. And I'm certainly not an expert on the city budget, so I don't want to speak too much to that. But that's what they set it at.
Okay.
I don't know. There wasn't any discussion about a sales tax in the 2 meetings that I listened to. So I know it was in the paper though, because I know there's a public works building that's being discussed. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. It's just one of the things that I'm keeping a close eye on as we discuss levies, and we talked about a bond for the pool, and all of these tax rates are cumulative. And Forest Lake's one of our larger service areas, so it's something that we need to be concerned about when it comes to school funding as well. All of these things tie together. Any other questions on City of Forest Lake or comments? All right, seeing none, we'll move to community education. I have Member Christensen and Member Haglund.
Yes, I attended the meeting on September 15th And Jay Ekman, who is the Athletics and Facilities Director, gave just a really nice presentation of how busy community ed is in all the athletic programs, and talked about a lot of things. The fishing team is coming under community ed, which is going to be very busy. That's a really popular program run by AJ Hansen is the head coach there. They talked a little bit about there was a marching band day at Huntington Bank Stadium where the Gophers play, and the marching band was on the field along with some other bands too. It wasn't just only our band, so that was exciting. But some of the main things that Jay Ekman talked about is kind of a thing that he's doing this year is he's trying to centralize the location for a lot of the games, a lot of the youth games. You know, you'd maybe play one night here or there or whatever. He's centralizing the locations for the games, and he also talked about just some numbers. Baseball and softball are our biggest programs, so that's really exciting. And they really want to create an environment for players and fans to play in fields that are safe and well managed. So he's also really focusing on the facilities and having the fields ready to play and in good shape. And he talked about there's a partnership with the Hockey Association. The Junior Rangers hockey is maxed out for the fall, and there's a waiting list, so that is a really wonderful program. And he also wanted to give a shout out, well, he didn't ask me to say this, but in the meeting he said that Forest Lake Printing, one of our local vendors, our local small businesses here, is a really great partner with community ed, and he just went on to say that they're just really wonderful when they need things last minute. Forest Lake Printing is a great partner for them. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, Member Christensen. Member Hagelin, anything to add?
I was out of town that day.
Okay. Any questions? All right, seeing none, that will bring us to MSBA. Member Tyson.
Yes, so I just returned from our retreat. It was held last week. It was the 27th through the 28th. The first night was our board meeting where we reviewed about 67. Some flowed in the next day of the resolutions from all the districts in the areas in the state. Reviewing those, getting ready for the delegate assembly, which will be December 5th when the resolutions will be voted on and talked about on the floor. So as a collective board, MSBA represents all of the areas across the state. So it's 331 districts and over 800,000 students. So that's a lot of different people that come together to make up the board for MSBA. The second day we had a strategic plan update reviewing all the metrics that have flowed in now. And our different core areas are advocacy, member development, operating efficiencies, policy services, and new with policy services now, for $1,400, districts can have a full policy audit done. So that's something new that flowed into the metrics with how that needs to play out. And then also unifying voice is about our communication plan. So I think we've had surveys where people have let us know, you know, there's so much information on federal level, local level, and from neighboring districts. What do people want to hear? The third day was a lot of what our students talked about. We did team building activities. One was a book study on leading through change. We also reviewed our Clifton Strengths Finder and broke into small groups and then large groups talking about what strengths flowed out of taking that test. So it was a lot of fun. It was the team building things were fun, like the students talk about. You work with people, just getting to know them, and it just makes the board stronger, and we're able to get a lot more accomplished knowing each other well and each other's strengths. So I was in the relationship building. That was one of my top fives. Everybody had to break off and what their strengths were. So it was fun to reveal that and then work from there with our small groups and then go into the large groups. So that concludes my report.
Excellent. Thank you, Member Tyson. Any questions?
Yeah, and I have a lot of information. I didn't bring my whole packet, but I'd love to have coffee with anybody that wants to find out more. Oh, and Member Antonsen will be going to the Delegate Assembly. I let her know that, thanked her for her interest and that I nominated her, and she was excited. So,
yes, thank you.
Thank you. Looking forward to it. That concludes my report.
Any questions? Okay, I do have a question for Member Corcoran, maybe putting her on the spot here, but now that we have joined AMSD, I know you probably haven't had the opportunity to engage with him yet, but if you'd like to have a regular board report, please just reach out to me and we'll get it added to the proposed agendas moving forward. And that'll keep the board apprised as to what's going on there. And then from there, we'll move on to the superintendent report. Dr. Massey.
The AMSD first board meeting's tomorrow morning, so I will be there. Member Corcoran, I'm not sure that you're able to attend. Are you?
Is it virtual too?
It is virtual, yes, and you should have the link. If not, let me know.
It's early.
It is early, yes, 7:30.
Yep.
I don't know.
Starts with breakfast.
I know. We'll see. Is it every month?
I'm
You
gonna
can
do
either?
virtual.
Yeah, either way.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. I'll let you know.
Very good. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Principal Miller, Sam Van Hefty, and Melissa Gooder for really a powerful presentation. The work you're doing with kids across the school, some of our more vulnerable kids, and building those connections is really powerful work. Launching the middle school with sixth grade and tripling the enrollment, we couldn't be off to a better start, albeit extremely busy. So thank you, and for the middle school staff in the building or at the board meeting, thank you for your work as well. The Forest Lake Times was referenced earlier. Their front page article is Columbus Elementary 50-year celebration. Aaron, thank you for a really nice article there capturing the two principal history over 50 years. Larry Carlson initially, and Neil Fox for the last 26, 27 years, and Dan Winkleman and the number of staff. So just a great tribute to the community-based elementary school we talked a lot about when we were doing rebounding, and that is the epitome of the value of community-based elementary schools. The government shutdown will not have an immediate impact on federal funding flows into the school district. We're kind of blocked funding, so that will flow. But if this continues long-term, there could be some financial impacts. So I will certainly monitor that and keep the board apprised of those developments as well. The strategic plan subcommittee has met once. We adjusted our next meeting to meet still on October 8th, but we moved it to 4 p.m. to accommodate Gail Gilman from MSBA to join us to talk through the logistics of facilitating the strategic plan should the board have an interest in facilitation. So great conversation, and we certainly appreciate the candid conversation, and I think a good recommendation will come to the board. As I look across this amazing school district, I could not be more proud of the incredibly talented and dedicated staff that we have in our district. This community is truly blessed to have such a professional group of educators and staff educating the students of our community. Today, we see student achievement and student academic growth on the rise. Enrollment is increasing despite declining in birth rates, a testament to Forest Lake area schools being a place kids and families want to be. Our financial footing is solid, and the district's reserve funds are strong. With incredible pride in the success of our schools, and with humility and enormous gratitude, I share with the school board my plan to retire at the end of the school year, effective June 30th. I have more to say. It's been my greatest honor to serve the students, families, and staff of this amazing school district for the last 27 years. My greatest desire has always been to lead the district to a better place during my tenure as superintendent. Upon my retirement, I am confident that with exceptionally talented teams with whom I have had the opportunity to work, I will be leaving this district in a strong and well-positioned place, ready to excel into the future. To the educators and staff, we are partners in one of the greatest callings. Educating and preparing our young to be tomorrow's leaders. You are a gift to this community and the children we educate every day. To my administrative team, there is none better. Your passion and fierce commitment to excellence is an inspiration. You lead with a servant's heart as you guide our schools in very challenging times. You are courageous, tenacious, and extremely talented. To my incredible wife and boys, I hope you're ready to spend more time with me. You have been my sounding board and my North Star throughout my career. Thank you. I am excited to spend more time with you. Now, it's October, and the year has just begun. Let's get to work and make it another great year in Forest Lake Area Schools.
Wow. I feel very privileged to be the first one to wish Dr. Massey a wonderful retirement and to thank him for his incredible career here at Forest Lake Area Schools. We've been through a lot just over my 10 years as a board member. Some amazing instrumental changes that his legacy will live on for quite some time. And are there any other board members? So, Member Christensen?
Yeah, I just, Dr. Massey is very humble, and I know he wants this to be like all directed about staff and his administrative team and how everyone works together. But I would say that you cannot have a successful district without a leader that people trust and are willing to follow. And Dr. Massey, I mean, is so dedicated to the Forest Lake community. You know, superintendents are crucial to the success of the district. Big changes are happening in our district, even just this past year, with the Reimagine 2025, not to mention all the previous things that went on, you know, prior to that. But I just want to say, as a leader, he is transparent. He is super honest. People see him putting in the work. He doesn't just sit in his office. I mean, he's in the buildings. I see him in the buildings. You know, he comes to Scandia and he talks to the kids, and He knows the teachers' names in the hallways. You know, so he walks the walk. He's in the buildings. He can name almost every teacher. Not only that, he knows so many community members. He could name the community members. He's active in the community. He's out there going to things. I mean, he's been in the district. You know, he spent his career here. His wife taught here. Their 3 sons went to these schools. He's real. He's genuine. The staff sees that. And the staff and the community really respect him. And I wouldn't be the board member I am, you know, without serving under his leadership. So.
Thank you, Member Christensen. Member Tyson?
Yeah, so I have a letter here that now I'm super sad about, but our superintendent, Steve Massey, is so highly respected and regarded for his work in our district that he has been nominated 8 times for the 2025 Superintendent of the Year Award. I'm going to read the letter of recommendation I sent to the selection committee last month. To the Superintendent of the Year Selection Committee, it is a pleasure to recommend Dr. Steve Massey for the School Superintendent of the Year Award for 2025. As a school board member during Steve's entire tenure as administrator, he has demonstrated outstanding leadership, vision, and dedication, resulting in significant improvements across the district. Under Steve's guidance, the district has seen remarkable progress in key areas. Student achievement. Student achievement is on a clear upward trajectory across all metrics. Graduation rates. Graduation rates have reached an unprecedented high during Steve's tenure. Enrollment growth. Despite declining birth rates in the region, the district's enrollment has continued to increase, reflecting strong community confidence. Facilities upgrades. Steve has successfully spearheaded crucial facilities upgrades that benefit both communities, both students and our broader community. Navigating challenges. Steve has skillfully navigated its decisive and often politicizing school board, consistently prioritizing student success amidst complex discussions. District communication and community engagement. Communication from the district has significantly improved, fostering stronger community engagement and a sense of shared purpose. The ability of Steve to drive positive change, even in challenging environments, truly sets him apart. His commitment to students, staff, and the community is evident in every aspect of his work. This is a wholehearted endorsement of Dr. Steve Massey for this prestigious award, which you will have to withdraw. So I just want to say that we have some big shoes to fill. You are so beloved at the helm by our staff and teachers, as noted by that resounding and deafening applause at our all-staff day in August. Also beloved by your directors, our FLAS, Forest Lake Area School students and families, city mayors, county boards, PTO, and booster clubs and beyond. It leaves a gaping hole. But you have showed us what teamwork is and how to be strong and respectful Rangers, and we will carry the good work, having learned from you. We will continue in your absence to go forward with integrity, respect, and to always focus on what's best for our students. I will always have a lot of admiration for how you were the ultimate team leader and that you helped shape us and move us forward to become the premier district that is now Forest Lake Area School. And this excellence for every student every day, amazing. That's Dr. Massey, and that's why we're Forest Lake Area Schools and his teams. So thank you for everything. I'm gonna miss you.
Thank you, Member Tyson. Member
I
Corcoran.
have to go after that. That was pretty amazing. I'm not the best writer, but I was trying to, I had a really busy day, so I was trying to pull some information together, just because I care about Steve very much, and I'm on his board for, I think, 18 years now. It's been a long time. And I started looking up history and realizing he's been working or being in our district for over 26 years. That was pretty eye-opening. I guess I didn't realize that. Starting off at Century, then going to the CLC, then principal at the high school, and then our superintendent. I mean, the vast knowledge and the depth of caring he's shown in those many years is beyond measure. So thank you for that. And I just said we've had the privilege to have Dr. Steve Massey and our superintendent for 8 years, going to be 9. With his leadership, the administration, we have seen great growth and changes in our district. And just some of the things that Gil Tyson had said too, the increase in fund balances and bringing the cities together and having his open door policy with parents, that has grown since he's been here. He's always said, come see me, come call me, always available for parents, staff, community. That's a rare thing. We're very, very proud of that. The confidence and trust that has happened since you've been in a leadership role is astounding. And I can feel it when you talk to parents and staff, how happy they are that you have been their leader in this district. I mean, you've surrounded yourself with amazing directors, and that also is very important for our staff. So what else? I had so much written. I was like all over here. So I guess in all the things we've accomplished since you've been here, in the last, especially the last year or two, the reimagined, consolidating Forest Lake, Forest View, that takes vision and hard work and teamwork. And that also is from a strong leader, having good staff to kind of help guide them through. So I just want to thank you for your many years of service, and I'm truly honored to have worked with you. And I know that you're going to enjoy your retirement. You deserve it.
Thank you.
And I know your wife, Kate, will be loving having you home and enjoying your family. So thank you so much.
All right, anybody else have comments here? If not, I hate to be the one to get us back to business, but as Member Tyson mentioned, we have some big shoes to fill here, and it's going to take some time.
Yeah, I do have,
Member Antonsen?
I don't know how it goes when a superintendent, do you train people in? How does that go when you're, I don't know, because I mean, there are big shoes to fill. Somebody with your expertise and length of time in this district and knowing the community as strongly as you do as a whole, like, I don't know what the process is. I'm just curious.
Yeah, and I guess what I would say off the bat, I've never done that before.
Well, I don't know if it's part
and
of, yeah.
I don't know what that's going to involve. It'll depend on the direction the board goes and with who they hire and the onboarding training needs that they have. But certainly, my commitment to this district is to make sure that person is ready to go.
Member Christensen?
Could I just say a point of order? I don't know what you were, I just think maybe we should just kind of let this sink in a little bit, and we should just kind of let everybody just sort of process this announcement before we sort of
Sure. Why don't
go
we,
straight to, I mean, I think we.
unless there's an objection, we'll recess for, I don't know, 10, maybe even 15 minutes here. We'll kind of gather ourselves and we'll pick up.
I'm not sure I was hearing
No, I'm
that.
sorry, excuse me, I meant Member Antonsen was asking, like, how does the process work? And I just meant, like, as far as talking about how the process works and how we're going to move forward, I might just suggest, like, everyone, like, let's just let this process for a little bit and not worry about process and moving forward. I mean, there's time, in my opinion, there's time for that. I think, I'm sorry, I wasn't calling for a recess. I'm just saying, like, let's just let this sink in, and before we start talking about next steps and
I
whatnot.
think that could be a conversation for a different meeting.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Do
Member
we have to
Corcoran.
make a motion to accept your?
I would recommend that you do that.
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
I would.
Well,
I guess I did.
in that case, let's go ahead. We'll We'll move to accept the retirement of Dr. Steve Massey effective June 30th, 2026, as he shared with us earlier, which reflects the conclusion of his employment contract, and to provide authorization to the board chair and the vice chair to initiate an executive search process to identify a possible successor.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that? All right, seeing none, Member Clerk, will you please take the roll call?
Okay, Member Haglund.
Aye.
Member Antonsen votes aye. Member Castle.
Aye.
Member Christensen.
Aye.
Member Rebbeline.
Aye.
Member Tyson.
Aye.
Member Corcoran.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
All right, with that done, I'm again going to suggest a recess here for at least 10 minutes. If I don't have an objection.
Can I just offer, maybe for my benefit, we've got 15 minutes of work.
Yeah,
I
let's
think.
keep going.
Okay. I think it'll be more than that, but if we have an objection, we can move beyond the recess.
good.
Okay. That will bring us to the consent agenda. I would like to pull 7.6. Is there any other items that we need to pull from consent? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve 7.1 through 7.5, 7.7, and 7.8.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. That brings back 7.6, and this is on the emerging status of school commitment form, MSHSL girls team dual wrestling. And I actually suggested putting this on the consent agenda, but things have changed in the last few days here, and we now have a 61-page opinion from the Office of Civil Rights. So I just had a point of inquiry for Dr. Massey on if there's been, I know that MSHSL met earlier this morning. I don't know, nope, I don't see him out there, but has there been any direction from Minnesota State High School League, Minnesota Department of Education, or even the Attorney General on what direction we can expect to go here? And is it going to affect our funding?
Yeah, we have not received any further direction from MDE or the Minnesota State High School League with respect to the federal response that just came through. This particular action on the consent agenda really is independent of any of that. We have a standing girls wrestling team that practices alongside the boys. They compete with other female teams, and the State High School League is exploring the viability of launching a sponsoring women's wrestling as a Minnesota State High School League sponsored team. And this resolution is simply a expression of interest and commitment from the district, should they proceed, that we would want our girls team to be part of the league. And the answer is a resounding absolutely.
Okay, thank you. And I was more, my inquiry was more directed at the Title IX opinions. So I've gone ahead and drafted a letter. I feel it's important that the board adopt this and send it to Commissioner Jett, the board president, and the executive director at Minnesota State High School League, and Keith Ellison, our attorney general. And I've included additional copies here. Maybe the board members can leave them at the end of the table if individuals here in the crowd are interested. I will also email that. I'll email that to you, Joy, if you're able to get that on board book at some point. Hold on, I have a motion here. I'd like to move to formally adopt this letter provided by the chair and direct administration to deliver a signed copy to the addressed individuals using an overnight delivery service, and to provide the board with a confirmation of delivery. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, so I'll let board members read the letter, and I'll give those in attendance and those online here a summary of what the letter states. The summary is as follows. Forest Lake Area Schools strongly supports immediate compliance with Title IX following a federal determination that the Minnesota Department of Education and Minnesota State High School League violated Title IX by allowing males to participate in female sports and to access female-only facilities. The district urges Minnesota Department of Education and the Minnesota State High School League to accept the federal resolution agreement to 1. Ensure legal compliance and protect federal funding for schools. 2. Preserve fairness in female sports by preventing the displacement of female athletes by males. 3. Safeguard female students' privacy, dignity, and safety in female-only spaces such as locker rooms and other sensitive locations. 4. Provide schools with clear guidance to serve our students in an effective and legal manner. Non-compliance with Title IX risks harming female students' rights, compromises school programs and fundings, and will likely trigger federal enforcement actions that will negatively impact all students. Adopting this letter and passing this motion will share this opinion with Commissioner Willie Jett of the Minnesota Department of Education, Don Peschel, the board president, Eric Martins, the executive director of Minnesota State High School League, and the Attorney General Keith Ellison. Is there any discussion? Member Christensen.
Yeah, I would again like to just talk about how obviously this letter is drafted. You and Tessa's names are on it here. Again, just sort of springing things like this on the board when this clearly could have been sent out in advance. Now we're supposed to digest this.
Point of order here, that I'm going to take that as a personal attack because the opinion was just issued on the 30th. That was 2 days ago. I have spent, probably the last 26 hours reading the 61-page opinion, preparing the letter. The reason my name and Member Antonson's name is on the letter is that as the board president and the board clerk, it would be our responsibility to sign this should it be adopted. So I don't appreciate a personal attack stating that this is a last minute type of thing.
Could I just respond to that? Could I just respond to that? That was not a personal attack.
Okay.
You could have shared a draft. You could have emailed the board and said, I'm working on this. This is what I'm thinking about. I'm going to add
This letter
to the
wasn't
agenda.
finished until approximately 5 o'clock.
So you typed this out with no edits. You could have, I'm sure there were drafts of this, Member Chair. I'm sure there were drafts. You could have said, this is what I'm working on. Here's draft number 1. It's not finalized. I just,
It is available to you this evening.
well, I know, but I can't, okay, well, let's all take, 30 minutes to process this and read it, and then I'm going to double check everything. I'm not going to just vote on something that I don't know what this is about. And secondly, if I could just say, girls wrestling, I know a lot about that. All 2 of our boys wrestled, our third wrestled when he was younger. I know a lot about girls wrestling. I'm not sure what all this is, Title IX, whatever. Girls wrestling right now, they practice with the boys. I mean, they wrestle amongst each other, but they practice with the boys. Making a girls wrestling team its own thing is a super good thing, because then they're going to have their own season and they're going to wrestle amongst themselves. They don't have to share the wrestling room with the boys. So I just feel like if you wanted to choose a woman's sports that would be controversial or something, I mean, this is like a really good thing, that the girls wrestling should have their own season, their own team. So I don't understand what this has to do with the other. I get it, it's girl sports, but I don't.
No, and this letter supports your statements exactly.
But
Member Corcoran.
is there currently an issue with this now? I mean.
Yes, we were found by
With
the
the-
Office of Civil Rights, the state of Minnesota, to be in violation of Title IX by allowing males to participate in female sports.
Not
But
Forest
not
Lake
this.
District.
Not our, in the
State.
Forest Lake District? Not Forest Lake.
To my knowledge, we do not have any students that any male students that currently participate in girls' sports, but we do have girls' teams that compete against males in other sports.
Okay,
Member Tyson.
so
Thank you.
I feel like there was just an ulterior motive behind 7.6, and that this is the result of you not informing the board where you're going and what direction you're taking. And we just had our board retreat. Our board chair serves with Mike Hennon on the board for the Minnesota State High School League. She gave an update. It didn't contain anything like
Exactly.
this.
I learned about this
So-
late last evening. Minnesota.
you personally? Who was
I was
it from?
hoping to hear that the Minnesota State High School League would address this issue this morning. They elected not to during their board meeting. They ignored the issuance of the opinion from the Office of Civil Rights, which is why I feel it's important that school districts and school board member individuals themselves stand up and let the state know that the federal funding and the protection of females is important to us, and that's the reasoning I drafted the letter.
But it feels like you're kind of using this letter to sabotage the wrestling program.
Absolutely not. This is not tied to, we have no motion on the table
Okay, so-
concerning the Minnesota State High School
And there was
League
no
Girls Team
avenue-
Dual Wrestling.
There was no avenue to get this information prior.
It was not prepared in time to provide it. Member Christensen.
I mean, obviously, I'm not on the Minnesota State High School League Board, but if you're saying you yourself just found out about this, last evening or 2 evenings ago, and then the Minnesota State High School League had a meeting the following morning, perhaps they're having their lawyers look at it.
The Minnesota State High School League has they've been given 10 days to respond to this. If we are going to take action to support the adherence and the compliance with the findings from the Office of Civil Rights, this is really our only opportunity unless we were to schedule an emergency meeting.
And how is this Forest Lake School District's problem, I guess? Is this a Minnesota State High School League problem? I don't see this as our problem.
It becomes our problem when federal enforcement activities kick in and our federal funding is pulled due to noncompliance with Title IX. Member Hagman.
So just to clarify, this letter is just letting the state know that we as a district, whether we are found to be compliant or not, we support Title IX on a federal standing so that we don't want to lose our federal funding, because Superintendent Massey mentioned it tonight, it was $6 to $8 million a year potentially that we could lose if the federal Department of Justice is successful against the state, correct?
That's an excellent summary, yes.
And then this has nothing to do with approving. We will still approve, or I will make a motion, and once this is settled, to approve the girls' dual wrestling.
Correct. The
So
girls
they're not tied.
girls wrestling motion has not been brought up yet.
Okay, thank you.
And unless there's an objection, we can suspend the rule on limitations of discussion, and we can go back to Member Christensen.
I have a
Member
point of
Christensen.
order. This was not on the agenda,
Right, we approved
No.
the agenda.
and we
And-
approved the
Without
agenda.
it.
So that,
And then the motion is germane due to its relationship with approving a female sport.
and who determines that? The chair
The
determines?
chair
it?
does
The chair
determine that.
determines if it's germane.
Is there any other discussion on the motion?
Is this, one more question. So
Yes,
when we
Member Tyson.
approved the agenda, you could have put this letter on there, right? Prior to that.
Potentially.
But can you say why you didn't want to do that?
No, I don't wish to speak to that at this time. Member Corcoran.
I have a question. I mean, this all triggered because of a new sport.
No, this triggered due to the legal finding that was issued on September 30th from the Office of Civil Rights.
So nothing to do with the girls wrestling. I mean, even though it's
It's related to the girls wrestling since we are approving a new female sport. I felt it was important that the district, as Member Hagelin shared earlier, share our opinion with the state that we feel that protecting female sports is important to us.
So any female sport, this would have came up. And
Correct.
it didn't matter if it was wrestling or whatever.
Correct. Member Christensen.
I would like to appeal the decision of the chair.
Which decision of the chair?
The decision,
That this is germane?
yes.
All right, we have an appeal and we have a second. Any discussion on the appeal of the decision of the chair?
I would like a roll call vote, please.
Sure. For those of you that aren't familiar with the appealing the decision of the chair, my ruling was that this motion was germane due to its relationship to both Minnesota State High School League and female sports. Member Christensen is arguing that the motion is not germane?
It was not on the agenda. This is an agenda item, and I believe that if this wanted to be discussed, it should have been on the agenda item.
Okay.
It should have someone should have amended the agenda.
Correct.
To spring this on during consent, I
Okay.
do not agree with that.
So, is there any discussion on that, on the appeal of the decision of the chair? If not, we will go to a roll call, and I'll ask members to answer the roll call on whether or not they agree with the Member Christensen or the chair. Is
So a
that-
yes is to agree with me and no. which-
No, when you are asked for your vote, you would state you agree with Member Christensen, or you would state that you agree with the chair's ruling.
I'm just trying to be clear before we vote.
Correct,
so we
yeah,
know what we're saying.
I don't want any ambiguity in this process as well. Any questions? Okay, seeing none, Member Clerk.
Okay, Member Christensen.
Agree with Member Christensen.
Member Castle.
Agree with the chair.
Member Corcoran.
Agree with Member Christensen.
Member Hagland.
Agree with Member Chair.
Member Tyson.
Agree with Member Christensen.
Member Antonsen agrees with Member Chair, and Member Rebbeline.
I agree with the chair as well. The appeal of the ruling fails, which brings us back to the main motion. Is there any additional discussion on the main motion? Member Tyson.
I just have one thing. I'd like the district attorney to have a look at this letter before we go forward. I think that would be a really good decision prior to this.
I agree with
going away.
that, Member Tyson, that's a good point.
That is a good point.
Because did you draft this letter yourself, Member Chair?
I drafted it in consultation with attorneys as well. That's part of the reason it took so long.
Our
In
attorneys-
consultation, yeah, which attorney?
Yes. My individual attorneys.
You wrote this letter in consultation with your own personal attorney?
I worked with a number of attorneys on this that are very familiar with the issue at hand.
But would you be opposed then if our district attorney looked at this before it went out?
Member Christensen.
I'm not comfortable sending a letter of this magnitude to these folks without having our attorney on the district look at this. I mean, Member Chair, you and your attorneys, I mean, I don't want to be a part of a letter that our own attorneys, or at least our own, I mean, has Director Friedman looked at, no one has seen, no administrators have seen this letter. Okay.
Well, I just think it protects the best interest of our district, and that's what our attorneys are for. So I think it'd be in our best interest to have them at least look at it to make sure it's good before it's good. I mean, we don't want to come back with a law finding or even something back, a backlash on our district. So I think that would be money well spent.
Point of order, or point of inquiry. This letter is basically stating that our district, if we were to sign this as a board and pass it, is willing to be in compliance with federal law around Title IX.
Correct. Yeah, this is purely an opinion. We are not stating any legal fact or inferring any finding on our part whatsoever. We are stating an opinion.
If I can, Mr. Chair, I would ask the board to consider the precedent that gets set seeking outside counsel for
Right.
formal district business.
That's a good road to go down.
As the chair, I have authorization to engage legal counsel. Member Hagan.
I was just going to point out that this is, the letter that as I read it, I've only read it once, but as Member Antonsen already alluded to, we're not asking to do anything other than just support the federal mandate that we comply with Title IX. So I don't see a lot of legal risk here by voicing our support for adhering to federal standards.
Member Tyson.
I think, it would serve us well if you're comfortable in that direction, then why wouldn't you be comfortable having our district attorneys look at it? And I think Member Chair should have been in consultation with our district attorneys on this. Why aren't you comfortable with that?
I didn't say it wasn't.
Oh.
I just said I'm
But
in.
you're comfortable with him working with his personal attorneys?
Well, he's the chair, he can engage legal counsel, so he didn't tell me who he.
Our legal counsel.
Is there a board member policy that we could look at on that?
On engaging legal counsel?
Mhm.
That was authorization that you provided both the chair and the vice
And the
chair
vice
in
chair.
January.
But it was with our own attorneys,
Mhm.
right? Not-
No,
Or
it
was
was
for any
to
of
engage
the-
legal counsel.
Okay.
Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, Member Clerk, please take a roll call.
Can we clear up quickly what we're voting on right now?
Oh, yes, so the motion is to approve the sending of the letter. The original motion was to formally adopt the letter and provide the chair, or formally adopt the letter provided by the chair, and to direct administration to deliver a signed copy, which the chair and the clerk will sign if it's approved, to the addressed individuals using an overnight delivery service, again, due to the shortened time frame that the state has to respond, and to provide the board with confirmation of delivery. That was the chair, or the motion in the second. So an affirmative is to adopt the letter and to send it. A no vote would be to do nothing. Is that clear? All right. Member Clerk, please take the roll call.
Okay, Member Castle.
Aye.
Member Tyson.
I vote no on surprises and not working with our attorney, so no.
Member Rebline.
Aye.
Member Hagland.
Aye.
Member Corcoran.
No.
Member Antonsen votes aye. Member Christensen.
No.
The ayes have it.
Okay, the motion carries. That does bring us back to item 7.6, emerging status school commitment form, Minnesota State High School League girls team dual wrestling. Dr. Massey.
Yeah. As I indicated, this is simply indicating to the league that we would support the establishment of girls wrestling.
All right, is there any, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Who's paying your attorneys?
Um,
And who these
We have a
attorneys
motion,
are?
and do we have a second? I will second that myself. Any discussion on approving the Minnesota State High School League girls team dual wrestling? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Brings us to action items 8.1, donations. Member Christensen.
I would like to thank the following donors for their generous donations to Forest Lake Area Schools. $7,840.02 to Forest Lake Girls Fast Break Booster Club for girls basketball season uniforms, and $750 from All Around Remodeling for STEP program general use, for a total donation of $8,590.02, and I move to approve with gratitude.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion carries. Brings us to Forest Lake Area Schools Staff Retirement Notice. Again, Member Christensen.
We have 3 retirements this evening. Jennifer Franklin, retiring as an elementary teacher at Forest Lake Elementary School following 30 years of service. Patricia Gunderson, long hour cook helper at Linwood, effective following 5 years of service. And Cheryl Nelson, BIS specialist at Lino Lakes after 23 years of service. I move to approve with gratitude and wish them the best. Thank you.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I just wish them well in their retirement. We had some 30 and 23. That's a long time. Appreciate all their years of service.
Yes, thank you. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed? Okay, motion carries. That brings us to the Forest Lake Area Schools 1300 policies. This is policy 1301 through 1306. This is now the 4th time that these policies have been brought before this board, so they are here this evening for an approval. I will make the motion myself due to there is some nuance here. So I will move to rescind policies 202 through 214 and replace them with the proposed policies 1301 through 1306 as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. For those that are paying very close attention, I did not include policy 201. Policy 201 right now serves as the superintendent's job description, and I believe it's policy 1304 that reflects back to the board needing to provide a job description to the superintendent. So my thought is that we would leave 201 in force. For now, we bring it back before the board at one of our upcoming meetings to get that into the current format and perhaps renumber that as 1301A. So that is the reason for that. What I'll do is, kind of like what I've done in the last couple of meetings here, is I'll step through each policy, 1301 through 1306, and ask if any individual has any questions, comments, or amendments for a given policy as we step through. And we will start with School District Administration Policy 1301. Does any board member have any questions, comments, or motions associated with Policy 1301? All right, seeing none, we will move to Policy 1302, which is Superintendent Policy. Does any board member have anything that they would like to address on Policy 1302? Member Atkinson.
I would move to strike the words personal and from 3D.
Okay. Really quickly, I want to pull that up before I ask for a second on that. So we are on 1302, and we are looking at, under general responsibilities, D, and you are suggesting we strike the word personal and, so it would then, it currently reads where responsibilities are not specifically prescribed, nor school board policy applicable, the superintendent shall use personal and professional judgment, subject to review by the school board. The motion that we have in front of us is to amend that to read where responsibilities are not specifically prescribed, nor school board policy applicable, the superintendent shall use professional judgment, subject to review by the school board. Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Member Christensen.
I mean, I would argue that we hire someone for their personal and professional judgment. I mean, I don't know how you, I mean, if you have the history and the skills and the experience, you're going to have some personal judgment in there as well. I don't think it means personal judgment like me, this is what I want. I mean, I think it's like personal judgment like in my history, in my experiences, I mean, I don't think you can separate a personal, professional judgment. I think they kind of go together. I don't think it's like me personal in like that. I think it's just like in the, I don't know. I'm not sure. I would leave in personal.
Any other discussion on the amendment?
I think any judgment is at risk for personal bias, and I mean, I think we'd be fooling ourselves as human beings if we didn't realize that. And the reason I think it should come out is because that just takes that as a, it's not an accusation by any means, it's just let's keep it to professional judgment. And have we not, everybody in society in the last 5 to 10 years, been asked to introspect on their personal biases? So it's work that everybody has done. And I think just take out the personal and leave it at professional judgment. That's what they're doing. And at an administrative superintendent level, I think that's my personal bias, is that's how decisions should be made, is based more on professional judgment than anything else.
Any other discussion on that amendment? Member Corcoran?
Well, we could go on round and round, but we're all human beings. We're people. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't say you don't have an opinion, or it's gonna. If you're definitely a professional superintendent, you're gonna have. I mean, it's who you are. I mean, I don't know how you can, like you say, take it who you are away. You're still a professional and you're a person. So I guess I don't understand how you split them either. But I mean, I guess it's not the end of the world. Doesn't work, but I'm just saying we're all human beings, so you're going to have experiences, you're going to be who you are in your position, so it's hard to cut that out of your job. So
Member Atkinson.
I'd further say too that the rest of what this is saying is that the superintendent shall use if we're going to take out personal, maybe not professional judgment, subject to review by the school board. I would think as a superintendent, you've probably run into millions of different scenarios, and you know in the back of your mind all your rules and policies that you've got to work with. But if you were to run into something, you or superintendent anywhere, that you weren't sure how to deal with, this would also help assure that it comes to the board and have more eyes on something, so that we're not risking personal bias.
I personally agree with the amendment. I think it removes some of the ambiguity when we're making difficult decisions. Just it clearly illustrates that professional judgment is the paramount concern. I think Member Corcoran and Member Christensen do make good points that as you progress through your career, you do have those personal experiences, but you are reflecting back to your time as a professional and recognizing what was critical. So I think it's a good change myself, and I'll support the amendment. Is there any other discussion on the amendment? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. No.
Those opposed?
No.
Okay, the motion carried. Any other discussion or amendments for policy 1302? Okay, seeing none, that will bring us to policy 1303, the superintendent selection policy. Any discussion, questions, items on 1303? All right, seeing none, that will bring us to policy 1304, which is the superintendent contract duties and evaluation policy. Any questions, comments, motions on that one? All right, seeing none, I do have a motion myself here on 1304. I'm going to pull it up really quick here. In section 2A, I move to add and shall be posted publicly on the Forest Lake Area School website alongside all other employment contracts.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. The sentence currently reads, the superintendent's contract shall be used to formalize the employment relationship and to specifically identify and clarify all conditions of employment with the superintendent. And there it ends. I am suggesting that we add that and we clarify that the superintendent's contract shall be posted publicly on the Forest Lake Area Schools website alongside other employment contracts. Historically, I'll speak to this really briefly here. Historically, we have done that. When we did the website redesign, all of our contracts are posted with the exception of the superintendent's contract. There was just a report on this on KSTP's website where they pulled together a bunch of superintendent contracts, and one of the things that really stood out to me was that a lot of these contracts are really hidden from the public view. They had to make FOIA requests. In some cases, they had to pay to receive them. This is public data. The superintendent's contract is no more sensitive than the teacher's contract, than the principal's contract. There's no reason that this shouldn't be publicly available. And this just clarifies that intent by the board. So any comments on the motion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Okay, motion carries. That brings us to the policy implementation policy 1305. Are there any comments, any motions on policy 1305? All right, seeing none, we'll move to policy 1306, the Administrator Code of Ethics policy. Is there any discussion? Member Antonsen.
I move to amend 1306 to include Minnesota Statute 3512.5200 in its entirety. What I realized when I was looking through board book here is the sheet that we were given in the policy committee is two-sided, and it does not match what's in board book here. Board book just has the
first page.
Well, most of the first page, and then
If I may, I believe that what you have in front of you is the Minnesota rule that points to the statute. does not include the statute language, but the MDE's rules related to the statute. That's what you see on the document. If you have items,
Yes, I got that from Donna when we were in the policy committee, this 3512, 5200. And it's Minnesota Rules, Code of Ethics for School Administrators. And then, but underneath, when you get through A through K, underneath there it says sub P3, statutory enforcement of code, complaints, investigation, and hearing. The board must enforce this part according to Minnesota statute, section 214.10, which I would also say should be on here, because that has to do with how any kind of complaints or discipline would be handled.
sure.
And then, before I even ask for a second here, well, the motion still belongs to Member Atkinson and not the board as a whole. I have a brief question here. This is defined in statute at the moment? That's part of the rule?
I mean, Member Christensen got the same thing. Maybe she can speak to this as well, because we got this sheet in the.
But the
Yes.
part that's missing is part of the statute? That's kind of what I'm getting at?
Well, the part that's not on board book, it is according to the sheet we got. It's
Okay.
two-sided.
May I make a suggestion then? That's a lot of text to be adding through an amendment right now. So
Yes.
what I would suggest is, since it's in statute, it's statute-driven, I do think it's important, we do this with a lot of our policies, to include the language and be comprehensive about it. But if you'd be willing to withdraw your motion, I would suggest that we bring this back at a future date, perhaps even on the 23rd, with the language added so that the public has an opportunity to view that text and so that other board members have an opportunity to review it as well.
Okay.
Would that be acceptable?
Sure.
Okay, so we're going to withdraw that motion then, Member
Okay.
Atkinson. And that brings us to the conclusion, unless there is some additional discussion on the original motion, which, just to remind members here, was to rescind policies 202 through 214 and replace them now with the amended policies 1301 through 1306 as presented. Member Hegg.
Just a question on 1306 in board book here. The red lines, where did the red lines come from?
Minnesota rule.
That was the rule?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the rule. Yeah.
So was discussed in the policy committee then, or was this just updated?
Yeah. Those were the changes the policy committee made.
Okay, thank you.
And sent back to us, correct.
All right.
Yeah, and what Member Atkinson noted was that the changes weren't fully inclusive of the rule.
So with that rule that is in question then, would you just add that under legal references? And then would that cover?
Potentially, that's why I want to review Member Atkinson's motion in a little bit more depth, knowing that it's in statute, it's something we need to do anyway. Before we add the language to our policy, adopt it, let's take a little bit of time to unpack that, understand what it is, put the proposal out before the board.
But it might be as simple as adding it to the legal reference section. Okay.
Very possible.
All right, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. All right, any other questions or discussions on the motion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by, Member
So
Castle?
the motion would not include 1306 then?
It would include 1306 as currently presented, and we would bring back 1306 if necessary to make revisions to it in the future. All right, any other questions? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
No.
Okay, motion carries. Brings us to 9.1, first reading, Transportation Employees Drug, Alcohol, and Cannabis Testing Policy 313. Dr. Massey.
The changes that are reflected in this policy at this first reading really reflect the federal guidelines with respect to drug and alcohol testing. We follow federal testing guidelines currently for the Transportation Department. The language in the policy captures some of the federal language, but largely captures the state language. The federal auditors of these policies are recommending that we adopt in the policy the federal language, and that's what you see in the recommendations.
All right, this is a first reading tonight, so no action is taken. Reviewing upcoming calendar dates. As Dr. Massey mentioned earlier, on Wednesday, we do have a subcommittee meeting to discuss the strategic plan, and I believe our next board meeting is on the 23rd. With that said, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.